Hello everyone, welcome back to Agent Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar. In today's video we're going to be looking at an article that has just been put up by the Warhammer community team called Legions of Nagash, the Grand Host of Nagash and New Summoning. I haven't read this yet myself as I wanted to be feel the surprise the same as you when I read through this to see what it's about. From what I can gather, it looks like it's going to be talking about the new Battletome, Legions of Nagash. So let's dive in and have a look to see what they have to say about it. Nagash is one of Warhammer Age of Sigmar's most iconic characters, a figure whose power and drive threatens even the Chaos Gods. With Nagash and his machinations taking centre stage during malign portents, it was only fitting that his armies had a Battletome that truly represented the horror of battling the god of death. Legions of Nagash is more than just a Battletome, it's a reboot for death as a whole, designed to bring them in line with the modern Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and the core of the army still plays as it should. Endless regeneration, hordes of low-level infantry reinforced by elite units, but they have been bolstered with a range of synergies, new artifacts and abilities that open up a vast array of effective armies. We'll be previewing the Legions of Nagash in depth every day this week, starting with the changes to Summoning and the Grand Host of Nagash, a relentless allegiance that particularly cool for players who love death rattle skeletons. Okay, so that's the first little bit. So yeah, that sounds good. They're going to go into depth about the whole Battletome, and they're going to be doing an article every day this week. So reading that, that's probably what I'm going to do for the videos every day this week, just to cover the Battletome and talk about the just the changes, what we can expect and what they are telling us. So this one, like they said, is going to tell us about how summoning is going to change. So that's a big one. Also, it's talking a lot about death rattle skeletons apparently, so I have done quite a few videos, as you might have seen already, of the death rattle, so it'd be interesting to see how they've changed. But we're going to start with summoning. So firstly, summoning for death units has been fundamentally changed in the new Battletome. Regardless of how you build your army, rather than being summoned through magical means, several death units now possess the summonable keyword. This keyword unlocks all sorts of synergies and combos with the rest of your army. The simplest being that most death heroes now possess an ability called Deathless Invocation. This ability heals a number of summonable units every turn or restores lost models to the unit. Its effectiveness depends on the strength of the given death character. Nagash, for example, affects 5 units, while a Humble White King will heal 2. It then tells us the special rule, Deathly Invocation. I have said what this is before, but I will read it again for this video. So, at the start of your hero phase, pick up to 5 different friendly summonable units on the battlefield, because this must be Nagash they're talking about. You can heal D3 wounds that have been allocated to each unit you picked. Roll separately for each unit. If no wounds are currently allocated to a unit you picked, you may instead return a number of slain models to it that have a combined wound characteristic equal to or less than the roll of a D3. It then goes on to say this ability stacks, so by taking several death heroes you will be able to render your favourite units nigh unstoppable, as if trying to chew through a horde of Graveguard wasn't already tricky enough. So that's good. So I'm going to start from the top of what I've just read. So it's talking about the summonable keyword will be affected by Deathly Invocation. So with that, and also this rule itself, Deathly Invocation, it pretty much confirms that those leaked war scrolls were official, because we saw this rule on them, and then also the summonable keyword on those units as well. So it's good to see that. So now that we know that that is those were genuine war scrolls, it gives us a nice sort of confirmed look to see what death is going to be like with the new Battletome. And then also the ability stacks, so that's really good news. I know a couple of people asked that question, and it's great to have an answer. So this will mean that this Deathly Invocation ability will very rarely go to waste, because you'll be able to pick multiple units and stack it upon them. So I can only imagine how many Graveguard you can bring back. Like I was saying in my review of those War Scrolls, saying well, if you can bring just as many Graveguard back as you can Skeleton Warriors, that's a huge plus to the Graveguard. And now that you can bring back so many of them with this, that's really good, especially if you just want to stack it on a big unit of them. That's really cool. Okay, then goes on to say, dedicate your army to one of the legions of Nagash, and you'll be able to make Sumbul units even more powerful with grave sites, areas of the battlefield that represent sealed tombs, long lost burrows, or just mass graves for ages past. Every legion of Nagash army gets to place 4 grave sites on the table, 2 in their territory and 2 in the enemy's territory. Sumbul units can be set up to emerge from these grave sites later in the game, and they have a similar effect to Deathly Invocation, healing nearby units. As such, Death armies can control territories on the board more effectively than ever before. After all, the leisurely place of 60 strong unit of zombies doesn't hurt so much when you bring them onto the board 9 inches away from the enemy. Okay, wow, so that tells us how summoning's changed. So it's interesting. So as a Death player, you'll get 4 grave sites, which I imagine are going to be like a scenery piece, similar to like a Sylvaneth Wildwood or the new Nurgle tree that's just came out. And you'll get to place 4 of these on the board. So, like I said, 2 in your territory and 2 in the enemy's territory. And then you can use this to heal your units, your Sumbul units, and to actually bring on units onto the board. So that's how summoning has changed. So a wizard will no longer be able to presumably cast a spell to summon some units onto the board, like skeletons and zombies, like I mentioned, but you actually be able to pop them out. Imagine a radius from the grave site, I imagine, and then 9 inches away from the enemy, which we are all familiar with because that was the same for summoning. So that would be interesting, especially if you can drop a few of these grave sites onto objectives in games. That could be really good, and also they heal your units again. To your heroes with the Deathly Invocation are healing your units, and now these are healing your units as well. So yeah, sounds like my original thoughts when I first reacted to these War Scrolls and saw that the banner was gone for the skeletons and the rest of Death Rattle. I was thinking, oh, they've got a lot less durable, less models will be able to come back. But actually now it looks like a lot more models will be able to come back than even when they had the banner. So yes, that's good. Okay, the next bit, the Grand Host of Nagash. While the other legions use cunning, strategy or magic to win their battles, Nagash prefers to battle his foes down with raw attrition and terrifying demonstration of power, sending wave after wave of the undead to grind his foes into submission. On the tabletop, this is represented by legions innumerable. Okay, so then it goes on to tell us what this rule is. So legion innumerable. In your hero phase, you may roll a dice for each friendly Grand Host Nagash Sumbul unit on the battlefield. On a 5+, you can heal up to D3 wounds that have been allocated to it. For units with a wound characteristic of 1, return 1 slain model to the unit for each wound that has been healed. So yeah, that's really good. So like I was just saying about how much easier it is to bring back your models with those grave sites and the Deathless Invocation, particularly going back to like Graveguard, for example. You'll be able to get loads of them back every turn if you're lucky with a few 5s up and with your hero special ability. So that would be really good. I imagine that would be really annoying for the enemy as well. So we'll go through on what it says underneath it. Combined with grave sites and Deathly Invocation, you could see your units restored by 3d3 models every turn, if not more, making your units even more difficult for your enemy to chew through. Indeed, they will be forced to chase down and eliminate the weakened squads less they will be restored in later turns. So that basically just confirms what I was saying, just how sheer generational power you'll have to bring back your units up to full strength again. And how your enemy's really going to have to focus on wiping out a unit to make sure it stays dead. So yeah, that's really cool. That's a really nice ability. I'm liking how this is looking so far, especially how this is only what seems to be one of the allegiances for the Legions of Nagash Battletome. So for Nagash's one itself, it's looking really, really durable. And like the little bit of lore they said, how Nagash prefers to win his fights by raw attrition, by just sending waves of the dead at the enemy. I'm really happy to see how that's translated into the rules. It's a really nice fit there, so that's good. And then it goes on to say, if you love Death Rattle units, then you'll find the Grand Host Nagash the perfect allegiance. For one, you'll be able to take Graveguard as battle line in the army, and for another, there are a couple of command traits and artifacts that specifically aid these more relentless servants of death. Lord of Nagash, for example, allows you to maximise the attacks of nearby units. Combined it with a nearby White King and a Necromancer casting a Van Hels's Dance Macabre, and you could quite easily get 162, yes, 162 attacks out of a unit of 20 Graveyard. A note to my Watchful Eye editors, my calculations here are based on a unit of 20 all getting their attacks in. Not too difficult thanks to their small base size. The unit has 2 attacks base plus 1 for the champion. This is then increased by 2 by the White King and the Lord of Nagash's ability. This brings the unit up to 81 attacks, which attacking again with Van Hels's would give you 162 attacks. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. That's another reason why to take Graveguard. It almost feels like they're just stacking and stacking and stacking. How good, obviously like other skeletal units, but just how good like Graveguards are going to be in the future. That's awesome. I am slightly worried that the Graveguard points are going to go up, but I hope not, because they are only 1 wound models, which, to be honest, in this is a good thing with all these healing special abilities. So, that's awesome. 162 attacks from 20 Graveguard. That is just awesome. We'll get to why it is that, because now it's telling us the Lord of Nagash. I think this is a command ability, maybe? Or it'd be a command ability or an artifact. So, add 1 to the characteristics melee weapons used by friendly Death Rattle units that are within 6 inches of this general. So yes, it will be a command trait. So yeah, it's just another way. So it's basically like almost having 2 of your Lord of Bones command abilities from your White King. Apart from this, will apply to all Death Rattle units within 6 inches. And what's really nice is they don't have to be wholly within 6 inches, like we saw with a couple recent new heroes that have came out with their abilities stating that it has to be wholly. So this is definitely a nice change, because especially how big your unit's Death Rattle are going to be, it's going to be fairly easy enough to make sure that there's at least 1 model and a block of like 40 skeletons within 6 inches of this general. So yeah, that's a really nice command ability. That if that is what it is, I presume so. So yeah, that's really good. Death Rattle just got a whole lot better so far. It then goes on to say the Ossific Diadem, I think that's how that's pronounced, on the other hand, provides additional durability to your Death Rattle units, stacking well with deathless minions to make them very hard to kill. And then it's going to tell us what it does. So, Ossific Diadem, the crown of the blackened bone was crafted from the remains of an ancient necromancer and carries a fraction of that being unholy power. Okay, so it doesn't tell us what it does, unfortunately, but we're already learning a lot, so fair enough, they can leave this one to another day. And then it goes on to say, of course, if you're looking for some more elite units to support your horde of skeletons, then you'll want to pick up some Morghost Deathly angels, personally created by Nagash to prosecute his will. In the grand host of Nagash, Morgoths gain a +1 bonus to attacks, making them particularly effective when equipped with spirit halberds. So yeah, that's really good. I'm really happy about this because I've actually just picked up a new box of these this week and started to build them already with the halberds. So yep, I'm really happy with that. That's very good for me. So +1 attack, so that'll be them making normally 3 attacks, so 4 attacks instead. Hitting on a 3, wounding on a 3, -2 rend, 3 damage. That is lovely. Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. Why not make these Morgoths Archive even better, because they're already really good. And then finally it says, if you're looking for an elite way to theme your death army, the first cohort War Scroll Battalion is ideal. Representing Nagash's elite, you'll be able to make the God of Death even more durable by allocating wounds he suffers to nearby units of Morgoths, because trying to bring down Nagash wasn't daunting enough without help. So yeah, that's really cool. Looking forward to read whatever rule that is, being able to pass on your wounds to Morgoth's Archive, which again have a 5-up save against mortal wounds. So yeah, they're a pretty good unit to be able to do a lookout sir on. And then it says Nagash himself will also be able to take full advantage of 2 new magical laws, but that is a tale for tomorrow. Come back then when we'll be looking at the Masters of Death Magic, Arcans, the Black Legion of Sacrament. In the meantime, Nagash is available right now. Then it just says order him, blah 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 blah. So that's really good. So Nagash gets to take full advantage of 2 new magical laws. So for so long, Nagash has had on full health he can do 8 spells, but because of the rule of 1, he usually never uses his 8 spells. It feels just like a waste. It feels like you're paying points for it and you're not being able to use it effectively. But now he gets 2 new magical laws. That's really good. This is something I did suspect because of all the Sylvaneth, for example, when they got a Battletome, they had I think it was the Law of Life, the magic law. So with all the spells they managed to get there. You also had things like when the Stormcast got their 3rd Battletome, and when Blades of Khorne got their Battletome as well. With the prayers, there was a selection for wizards to be able to choose from. So this Nagash being able to have 2 new magical laws is awesome. It means that he's be a lot more useful in the game, a lot more effectiveness. I really look forward to seeing what those spells are. The interesting thing is, it might just be him who gets access to these spells, which is fine. You know, that's still really good. But if they're access to, if it's for example, what they did in the Sylvaneth, so all Sylvaneth wizards managed to take one of the spells chosen from a list to use in the game. And they do the same here, so Death Wizards can take one of these new magical laws, a spell from one of them. It might just be 1 spell per wizard, which if it is, that's what it should be. But that means that Nagash knows all wizards known by Death... all spells known by Death Wizards from your army that's on the table. So he would know the one that he picked. He would also know all the other spells that you picked for your other wizards. So that would mean Nagash being able to do all his spells with +3 to cast. It would just be absolutely awesome. So and I'd just love to see what this monstrosity of a necromancer can do. It would give us, because Death at the moment we're quite potent at magic, but in no way do we dominate the hero phase of our magic. You know, that would be to Tzeentch, especially with their Destiny dice. But if Nagash could get access to so many spells, that would mean we would really give Tzeentch a run for its money, making them have to use all their Destiny dice to try and stop our horrific spells getting off. And now they've wasted their allegiance ability. And if they failed and we managed to get off these really good spells, they're in a lot of trouble and the tables have turned. So yeah, that's awesome. So told us a bit about Nagash at the end. some good update for Morka's Archive, how they'll be getting a bonus attack, which is awesome, and there's also a battalion coming out where they can soak up wounds for Nagash himself. And then Death Rattle's just got a whole lot better, so much more regeneration. It's really good. I really look forward to implementing this myself on the table, because I've got like over 100 skeletons, I believe, and then over 20 Graveguard, and I think I do need more Graveguard now after reading that. And I can't even remember how many Black Knights I've got, a lot. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this implemented on the table, and there's bound to be battalions as well for Death Rattle, which will just... I don't know if they'll give the units in these battalions extra attacks, but they will obviously give them bonuses in some way. So it's just so good to look to see how all the units are going to be enhanced. And I think they are doing definitely right from what I'm hearing so far. They are making Death a more cohesive force, and bringing it in line with the newer Age of Sigmar armies. So yeah, I think that's really good news we've heard today. I will do my best to do a video tomorrow talking about the Masters of Death Magic, being Arcana Black and his Legion of Sacrament. That should be a good read. That should be quite interesting seeing how magic develops. So yeah, so that's all for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if so, please like, subscribe and comment down below, as that all really helps me keep on making more videos. And until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.